we basically finished both the weapon creator and the item creator, so we've covered all the utilities we have currently. And we're almost ready to go and see the fun stuff. And in this video we're going to see the weapon manager. Now what the weapon manager is basically responsible in creating or recreating the weapons we have saved into an actual game environment. So for example, it's going to take our weapons and it's going to place them on either the right hand or the where they are supposed to be holstered. Oops. Okay, because every weapon can be holstered into a different bone. And what's also more cool to this is that it's going to be responsible into placing or basically setting up our aiming and all that. So when we want to aim, we actually have everything set, and so we can do all this. And yeah, I should have done that. Anyway, let's go to the weapon manager. Of course, the weapon manager needs to go on our controller, and we're going to make the controller add it automatically, so you do not have to set it up beforehand. Yeah, I think you can also. Anyway, ignore that. Weapon manager, okay, goes directly on the controller. So let's go to the top. We have currently seen for our weapons weapon instance class, the weapon class, and now we're going to see a new class which has to do with the runtime weapon. And here we will store everything that is for the actual weapons we have inside the game. For example, is it active or is it holstered? Okay, very simple, so that we know if we have it enabled or not. Simple as that. The weapon stats with the active stats, it's everything that has to do on runtime. It's not the default stats we have saved before. Well, it takes from them, but when we later add a modification or bigger magazine or another lens or you name it, okay, we're going to be doing changes into these active stats instead of doing changes into the stats we have saved before into our weapons class. However, we still need a reference to the default ones, and we do that because when we remove later weapon modification, okay, when we add something else later, we need to have a reference to know where to revert to. And instead of saving all this somewhere else and wasting even more memory, then that means we can have just a reference back to the default ones. So basically, another way to think it, this is our own stats, these are the shared stats. So if two characters have the same weapon and one has a modification and one doesn't, then that means the changes are in here and not in here. The same goes with the current bullets. Okay, every character of course will have his own bullets. The model instance and holster instance has to do with the models that have now been created inside the game. So this character, this is the model instance and this is the holster instance. And if I duplicate my character, then that means this character has its own bullets, he has its own active stats, has its own model instance and its own holster instance. And the weapon model hook has to do with what we've seen on the previous video, and it's either this model hook or for this character its own model hook that goes onto the weapon. Okay, that fires particles, plays the animations we have over here and loads everything else it needs to load. So what we need to do now is, of course, take from our weapons we have saved and create a new class from a runtime, which is a runtime weapon, and update all the variables we need. Let's go back up. We're going to need, of course, all of this. Yeah, I'm kinda messy with namespaces. You could just, make less namespaces, but anyway, that's what life is for. Weapons, we want a list of weapons, and it's just a string because in our profiles we have saved with a string. So the strings are easy to use because we are using IDs, and because we have created our dictionaries, we have a way to faster search through a list of weapons to find what we need. The index for the weapon references, the actual weapon references, which has a runtime weapons, a reference to our state manager, the runtime weapon or the active weapon we have, so that we can faster take this, and this is the switch delay, which is when we're switching a weapon we have a short delay so that we cannot fire directly. Get active all does return the active weapon. When we initialize this, we're going to initialize it from the state manager, so we are passing also the state manager so that we update it from over here, and we're not using get component. Okay, create weapons, ignore this has to do for the next part of updates, but if you add, I think I have also already here, let me see. If I go to my test scene, we can actually add a weapon mode, I believe, or let's not just, anyway, ignore this. This has to do with the weapon modification. It just checks if it has a weapon mode you have into this character or this controller basically, and we'll add, or it's going to go and enable and change the active stats you have for your runtime weapon. Anyway, ignore that. Switch delay, we just initialize the new wait for seconds on start with the delay switch time. Create weapons. For each weapon we have over here, we're going to go into our resources manager, find the weapon instance, and then we have a new dedicated function that creates the actual weapon instance, which is this. And after that we're going to set active the first weapon reference, the first weapon we have. Now we have our weapon, we need our prefab, in this case it's going to be the model prefab, and we need to instantiate the model instance, so we instantiate our prefab. If the states are null, then we're going to go and find our states. This is just a failsafe, just in case we somehow call this from somewhere else that wasn't in the init. Now we need a new instance of a new runtime weapon, and we also need the new stat instance. Okay, we copy from one weapon stats from the other, so from what we have saved we copy again everything into our newly created stat instances. We assign the active stats on our runtime weapon to be what we have just copied. We set up our current bullets. We just take everything we have on our magazine bullets basically. We assign the model instance, and we also assign a fallback to our default weapon references, which is the weapon we have taken from the resources manager. And now we have our model references. We go and check for our model hook, and if they are null, we're simply going to add a new model hook. We're going to assign our model instances again, and then we're going to initialize our model instances and pass the bone helper and our own model rig. We do that because we have a few behaviors that need the weapon model hook. However, if this initializes a weapon model hook, then that means it's just going to be a dummy component and it's not going to really do anything. It's just going to have it there so that we do not get errors later on. We pass also the weapon ID. If we have a holster, and if we actually have a holster prefab, then we're going to create target prefab, we take the runtime. Yeah, this will take you your holster prefab. It will either take the model instance or the holster, and actually this will be like this, the correct way to do this. I forgot to add an if statement. Okay, it will start as your target prefab. Oops. Not equals null, like this, and it should also be like this, and yeah, it should actually be like this, model instance, and let's take this. Target holster, instantiate. Okay, so basically what this is, it checks if you have all on your weapon you have assigned. Oops. Yeah, we actually do this check over here, so let's just control our way out of here. And what it's going to do basically is going to see if you have something assigned on your holster prefab, and if you do not, then it's going to create your model instance, instantiate your target prefab, and then it's going to assign it as your holder instance. Okay, otherwise it's just going to take your model instance if you do not have something assigned over there. So this will be an else statement over here. Okay, if you have ticked has holster, then it's going to, it's going to look for something to place. It will either be your holster prefab, and I think we should also be good with this, to be honest. Yeah, this will be, yeah, well, come to think of it, why not like this, or, well, why not like this in the end. Okay, and if you want to be more dangerous, you can remove the brackets also. Okay, so it's going to find and assign. If you don't want to do anything when you have a holster, then you're simply going to go into your weapon and untick the has holster. And then we're going to assign by default all our weapons we've newly created in as, we're going to holster them. And then we have, with a reference, we basically add into our list of weapons the newly created runtime weapon. Okay, so we do this for each weapon we have into our weapon list. Set holster weapon, we call this when we want to holster our weapon. So basically we pass the runtime weapon. In most cases this was going to be your active weapon, unless it's the first time we create these weapons. And it's going to look if you have a holster, then it's going to disable the model instance. It's going to open the holster instance. In case the model instance is the same as the holster instance, then of course it's going to leave it to that. Then we're going to find our holster bone and place it to the position, to the rotation, and to the scale we have saved into our weapon references. Otherwise, just disable your model instance and leave it where it is. When you want to set an active weapon, you can see that things get a little bit more different. We pass the runtime weapon. If we have an active weapon before us, then we are simply holstering the previous weapon. We find our target bone, which, yeah, this will always be false, so it will, right now it will always take the right hand. Okay, we have our transform or our helper transform, and we have a runtime weapon. If it has a holster, then we're going to simply disable our holster. Then we're going to enable our model instance, just in case the model instance again is the same as our holster instance. So we assign again the model instance just so that we do not have to write all this. Or yeah, we could have just written a smaller name, to be honest, over here, like mi. Okay. And then we parent it under our bone. We parent it under, we place it on the correct position, rotation and scale. You will see that this is a common phenomenon, because that's basically it. Saving and loading and placing the stuff we need when we need. Okay, and this we just take what we have from our default values into our position. If you want to have modifications, then they will run. Yeah, I think we could actually just use the active stats directly in this case. Or no, this has to do with, yeah, this has to do with the model. It doesn't have to do with the archaic hands. Okay, the archaic hands, we're getting them from the active stats. In most cases, your model will always be at the same position at the right hand, okay, unless there is somehow a reason that you change the trigger position, which you probably do not have a reason for that. Then we have a new a function on our arcade handler which loads the weapon, and we will see this in a bit in or on their own video, because the arcade handler is just a huge subject and it has to do, it's basically all our system. Okay, so it deserves its own video with its own explanations. So set shoulder offset, main hand position, rotation. All it does, it gets the arcade handlers and places them into the positions and rotations we have saved, and it also places the whole pivot of our arcade to where we have also saved into our aim guide offset. Okay, and we assign our active weapon where we have into our runtime weapon. Holster weapon, what this is an obsolete, we are not using it, so I'm just going to delete it. Now we call this inside our state manager, and the stick, which is basically the update, has if the inaction, which is inside the state manager, okay, it's inside this, oops, it's inside an if statement. Okay, just so that I know, I have this over here, just that I know that there is it's not going to be updated all the time, only when the inaction is false. And we need to do this because we cannot shoot when we are vaulting, we cannot shoot when we are climbing, we cannot shoot when we are reloading and stuff like that. So if states shooting, okay, if we want to shoot and we're not currently reloading, we check our active stats, our fire rate. If it's lower than 0, then we check if our current bullets are higher than 0, then we actually shoot our weapon and we pass our active weapon. Otherwise, we lower our fire rate and we are saying to the stage that we are not actually shooting. And I think this is not really much needed anyway. Oh, yeah, we actually use it. Okay, let's go back over here. Okay, this is it. And in case we're not actually shooting and not reloading or something like that, we still want to lower our fire rate, and we also need to clamp it between between 0 and whatever we have inside our fire rate. And actually this should be just mathf.clamp fire rate and between 0 and again everything we have over here. Okay, and again reset the actual shooting. Now shoot weapon actual, all does, runtime weapon. We need to find our bullet origin and direction. And to find our bullet origin, we basically get the bullet spawn position and we do a transform point. So we take the local position of our bullet spawn position and turn it into wall space. We need to find the direction from where we are aiming at, and we draw, we basically find the direction. We have a statics class again that does ballistics. This is a whole different subject. Okay, ballistics are a whole different area. For right now, we're only going to see raycast bullets, the same way we had it on the previous video. In the future though, in a dedicated video just for ballistics, we're going to do some more advanced stuff that has to do with bullets. All this does right now, it only makes a raycast like this. You pass the origin, you pass the direction and the runtime weapon, and you have you do your raycast, your layer masks, of course. You do not want the ignore raycast, and this is the controllers. We need basically we want to hit colliders that are basically either on the actuals, or you want to have something more dedicated. We will see this when we have enemies. We do a raycast. If you want to hit more than 100 meters away, then erase this or make this infinity. There's probably no need to do this though. 100 will be will probably be more than enough. And check hit, of course, it will check if we hit something, and it will call a particle from the object from the object pool. It's going to request the damage particle, which is just that smoke that puffs. Okay, and then it's going to place it and make it look towards the origin, or basically where the bullet came from. Check hit. If it hits something with a state manager, you have hit a character. Do what you want there. If you hit a level target, okay, the level target has its own behavior, which does other stuff, which we're going to see on the level objectives video. As I said, this is fairly simple. Ballistics are a whole different thing, and we're going to do a separate video just for ballistics that isn't necessarily a third-person shooter. Okay. However, we are just going to need to copy paste that when we're done. You just have to, just copy paste and pass the origin and the direction you want to shoot to. So, the reason why I'm passing the runtime weapon is so if you hit a character, you can have inside your runtime weapon, you can go and check and have, a rifle will do more damage basically from a pistol. You can assign damage based on what you have saved in your runtime weapon. I do not have anything saved in my runtime weapon that has to do with damage. Okay, so there is that. Now, oops, we do not need this. We want our weapon manager. So when we're shooting, again, we need origin, we need the direction, we have it. We say to our state manager we are actually shooting. We go and play into our AK handler recoil animation. Okay, procedural animation. This is has to do with the procedural recoil. We've called to our weapon model hook fire, so it plays the animation for the weapon. It plays the particles. We assign fire rate to our active stats, and active weapon we lower our bullets. Very, very simple. When we want to reload the weapon, if we are not on hold, then that means we are not doing something, climbing, vaulting, and all that. And our state manager, okay, then that means we can reload. If we have more bullets. We actually have bullets to reload to. Okay, if we do not, then we're going to simply return. And we have, yeah, this plays the animation, either rifle reload or pistol reload. In my case, the string is the same, is different. However, in the animator, the animation is actually the same, so you will not notice any of this. It's just simply if you go and change the animation, yeah, then you will see it. What else you can do over here is, instead of just getting from the statics, inside your runtime weapon, you can save the animation name and have all your animations inside the animator instead of having them into the arms. Okay, like this, rifle, pistol reload. You can have AK rifle reload, you know, M4 rifle reload, and so on and so on. And you can see that this is only has a key boolean animator state behavior close AK, which means for as long as this plays, it's going to be updating the close AK to be always true, and it's going to reset it on exit. So it's only just plays the animation and reverts back to the rifle idle. We're going to dive deep into the animator where we actually see the controller. Okay, you can get the animator from the previous video, not the previous, the video before that. Okay, and it's all set up, but we're going to go into depth into this on a later video. And again, this has to do with the animation, of course, crossfade to the reload animation, reset the target ammo, which will be subtract from our magazine bullets our own current bullets, or from the default magazine bullets our own current bullets. We're going to clamp our bullets for our target ammo, okay, so we do not get more or less than 0 magazine bullets. And then our current bullets will be our target ammo plus our current bullets. And active weapon, active stats, current bullets, and we basically remove our current from our current bullets our target ammo. States reloading will be true, states on hold will be true, since this is an action. And then we start a coroutine that delays, basically disables the on hold we have over here. Okay, because if you're going to spam either an action or the R button, okay, then you will have a problems if you do not have a delay over there. And that's for the reload. Let's see the change weapon if we're not on hold again. Okay, you do not want to change weapons while you're reloading. We check, of course, first the index. If we actually if we're going to cycle them, of course we only have 2 weapons at this point, but you might want to have 3 or 4. So this is kind of redundant anyway. We set up the active weapon with the next we have over here, and then we change the target animation again. These are basically the same animation, just mirrored inside the animator. Okay, but we also have them as different names. But if you want to change something to play a different animation, then you can do so over here. And then we play the animation. We change, we say we're on hold. We are saying to the state manager we're switching weapons, and then we start the coroutine delay switch. Now you will see that there is a lot of references that has to do with the state manager, but I wanted to cover the weapon manager first, then the IK handler, and then go back into covering the actual controller, because this way makes a little bit more sense. And it also won't be, like the 6th time we're doing a controller, because most parts of the controller have been covered into the advanced third-person controller. However, there's a few big changes that we're going to see in the future. Okay, so just keep in mind of those. State manager, we will see this on a later video. If you still want to just follow along, then simply just create a state manager script and add these variables the way you see them. Okay, the animation of course is the animator, but again, my opinion is that you should just focus on understanding what I'm doing than simply copying what I'm doing. Okay, change weapon, delay switch, shoot weapon actual, we've seen all this. Pick up weapons is when we want to pick up a weapon. We call this function from when we interact with an item. So now we're going to into even more stuff that doesn't have to do with this. So basically, okay, we have on trigger enter and on trigger exit. We enable the inputs if we want to pick up or not. We have a few behaviors on highlight. Yeah, let's just ignore this and let's just see what we do when we pick up a weapon, because this has to do with a lot more stuff. It has also to do with inheritance, and yeah, you're just going to get confused without having the need to. Weapon manager. So pick up a weapon. All we need is a weapon ID, how many magazine bullets what we have picked up has, and how many carry bullets it also has. So we need to find the weapon instance for the new weapon we want to pick up. Okay, we're going to assume that it's the same rig type as our own, so we're passing what we have saved into our state manager, and if the weapon instance is null, then simply return. We're not going to do anything. However, if it's not null, we need to find the previous and store the previous active weapon, and we're going to create a new weapon instance for the new weapon. Now the new weapon will be we store the new weapon basically, which is this is going to go into our weapon reference list and add a new instance of our weapon. Okay, we need to take that though, and to find it, the new weapon will always be the last one inside this list. Okay, because it's the newly added one. Then we change from our active weapon from the previous one to the new one. So we say set active weapon, new weapon. We destroy the previous model instance and the previous holster instance. Okay. In case destroy, it makes a lot of garbage for your own target platform. Then instead of destroying them, you can come up with something that similar to what I did with the resources manager, so that it just disables them. However, yeah, I think most platforms will not have problem with this, since it only happens when you pick up a weapon, and this is kind of more accurate because you might have different skins, you might have different stuff like that into your into your models. Of course, there's other ways to implement. Anyway, we're simply going to destroy model instance and holster instance, and we're going to remove a previous weapon from our weapon references. However, we still have it around because we will need it for something we're going to see in a bit. And we set up for our new weapons, our current bullets is going to take what we have, what we are passing from over here for magazine bullets, and for our current carry bullets for what we are passing when we are calling this function. The reason why we do this is we basically overwrite what we had into our default values, and we do that because let's say you have a rifle. Okay, you fire all your bullets, so you do not have anything else to fire, and you pick up another weapon. Okay, you now have bullets and stuff like that. Now you go and pick up the rifle you just threw away that you didn't have any more bullets. If we load the default values, then that means we're going to have a new we're going to have all our bullets back. Of course, then that means that the players can cheat that way, and they can simply change their bullets throw the weapon to get more bullets. So one way to avoid that will have been to create an inventory and all stuff like that. Okay, because we do not want to create a whole inventory just to save bullets, what we're going to do is, when we are throwing a weapon, because we have picked up something new, we have a new class that's going to store how many bullets we have there and how many bullets we were carrying when we threw that weapon. Okay, so the next time we are going to pick it up, we're going to load the previous bullets we had and the previous current bullets for that weapon alone. Okay, and that's what I'm doing over here. Again, this is also an object pool because we do not want to be instantiating all these rifles. Okay, and if there is of course, nothing in the object pool, then we're simply going to ignore the next part. And we have the transfer position is going to just place it in front of our player and throw it down. It gets the new class which is called pickable weapon, which we will see on the items video. Yeah, it's entirely a whole different thing. And it's just going to go and update the current bullets and the current bullets, and then it's going to also clamp the current bullets to the new weapon current bullets, okay, and the magazine bullets, and then it's also going to update the active stats to the current bullets and everything else, max carry bullets. So yeah, that's it. This it might sound confusing, but it all makes sense. I assure you, we haven't done anything that it's not basic programming up to this point. Okay, it's very simple, very easy, and just make sure you know what you are doing basically. So you know when to destroy, when to remove, what to update, what to save. It's all based on that. And that's why I say it's more important to know what I'm doing, because if you know why I'm doing it, then you can simply go and write it in your own way and you will have a lot more fun doing so. And yeah, that's for the pick-up weapons. And now we have some events. These of course are entirely optional, and what this is enable the magazine on hand, disable the magazine on hand, and disable or enable the magazine on the weapon. So if you have model references, you're going to go and call the function we've seen on the previous video that has to do with the weapon model hook, and either going to open or disable the magazine you have on your hand, or it's either going to go and enable or disable the magazine you have saved into your model references, and then also throw the magazine. And where we call these events are into the animator. Let's open the controller and let's find out the controller also. Okay, it doesn't have a character right now, so let's find a character. Let's throw the boxman in, and I don't know if this is going to, probably going to, you can see that the ragdoll over here is wrong, that it created his head, it made it bigger than his head, and that should probably, I should probably fix that. But anyway, if we go in the controller, and we also need to assign the avatar, if we close this first, and we cannot assign the avatar because we also have another animator over here, and we're going to do this, put the boxman avatar. Anyway, you do not need to do any of this, just keep that in mind. So the events go on rifle reload. Okay, when he's over here, enables the magazine on his hand if you have set it up. Okay, otherwise it's just going to ignore it. Disables the magazine on the weapon, and it's going to try and throw a prefab into the level, and enables the magazine on the weapon and disables the magazine on the hand, and he's back up at at aiming basically. Okay, that's basically it. So that's the weapon manager. I know it might be a little bit more confusing, but trust me, it's the third time we actually see a weapon manager, especially like this. So that means that you not only have this video, which is 40 minutes of a video explaining all this. Okay, you also have the videos from both the two previous series to see that. Okay, there's a little bit more explanations on this on the third person shooter Redux and the older third person shooter, which I wouldn't really suggest. Yeah, you can watch it, but it's not really even needed, to be honest, because we have done this so much more, so much optimized, and so much more straightforward that you shouldn't really have to waste the time watching that one. So weapon manager, and just so that you see that why I'm keeping the IK handler for its own sake, for his own video, which is what we're going to see on the next video. Let me find it. Okay, you can see that yeah, lot of frightening stuff. We have to do a lot of fun stuff, as you can see. And yeah, so it's best to focus on the IK handler, because if you don't understand how to work with the IK handler, then everything you are going to be doing, it's not going to be working basically. Okay, because this is a third person shooter after all, and it has to focus with shooting, if the name doesn't give it away. Anyway, let's not drag this anymore. On the next video we're going to see and go into depth into the IK handler, and and from there we're going to see everything else. So you know what to do. Like, subscribe if you like more videos like this, if you like to watch videos earlier than where they go live, and if you like to also have the scripts so that you don't have to also write them, then, and if you like to support my work, you can do so, all of that in on Patreon. You can also grab a project or two from Gumroad so that I can continue making everything you see over here and explain them with the videos. Okay, so I'll see you on the next video.